Hi, and welcome back to StepOne Network. Today I'm joined by Eddie, who's a little bit worried that there might be a thunderstorm, so hopefully he's not too noisy. I'm going to be talking about opioid overdoses today. So opioids are a group of substances that include substances derived from the opium poppy, which people have been doing for thousands of years, as well as synthetic versions that have been made over the last century or so. So this group of substances includes heroin, morphine, codeine, hydromorphone, oxycodone, fentanyl, and a whole bunch of others. When we talk about medications and drugs that people use recreationally, we tend to break them into two categories. There are stimulants or uppers and downers or depressants in the terms of the effect that they have on the body with the heart rate, the breathing, stuff like that. So opioids are actually depressants in the fact that they slow down the body. They make people feel relaxed and they will slow down the heart rate and breathing. And so this is where too high of a dose of opioids can be a problem. If the breathing slows down or even stops, that lack of oxygen can cause brain damage or even death. So someone who's overdosing on an opioid, what you'll see in them is that their level of consciousness goes down. They're not really alert, or they could even be totally unconscious. Their breathing is really slow or almost like a gurgling, like a death rattle. Their lips and their fingernails are blue or gray. Their skin is cool and clammy, and their pupils, the black of the eye, if you can see them, will be pinpoint. All of those are because of the body slowing down and the lack of oxygen. The opposite category are the stimulants or the uppers. So those ones tend to speed up the heart rate and the breathing. And in terms of the reason that people use them is because it makes them feel more alert or energetic. So that category includes things like cocaine or crystal meth. The effect that those have, like I said, again, is to speed up the heart rate and the breathing. With cocaine, in an overdose situation, you can get chest pain or even heart attacks. The person will be sweaty and dizzy. Similarly, in crystal meth, the body will be sped up. You can have muscle tremors and seizures. You can have heart attacks and strokes. The skin is typically hot and flushed and sweaty, and there's the psychological effects, paranoia, hallucinations, stuff like that. So now that we've reviewed the two categories, we can review the risk factors and how to decrease the risk of overdoses. So the four big risks that increase the risk of overdose that we'll talk about, number one is mixing opioid, which is a depressant, with other depressants, which includes alcohol, benzodiazepines, things like Xanax or Ativan, and seizure medications such as gabapentin. Number two is using an unknown amount, especially buying a powder or a street-made pill that has an unknown amount of drug in it, or could even be laced with things like fentanyl, or buying from a new dealer, or using a hit that was prepared by someone else. You're not really sure what's in it. Number three is the way the drug is used. So injecting, because it hits the body fastest, is the highest risk. And number four is loss of tolerance. This is one that people don't always think about, but it's super important. When people are using opioids regularly, their body gets used to it. But if you stop using for a few weeks, your body kind of down-regulates and isn't used to it anymore. So if someone goes to a detox for a few weeks or is in jail and gets out and uses the amount that used to just take the edge off, it could actually cause a fatal overdose. So now that we know some of those risk factors, how can we prevent overdoses? Number one is never using alone, so that if you do have a bad reaction, someone is there to help you. If you're the only one in your house using, it would be a good idea to make sure the door is unlocked so that someone can get to you if necessary. Number two is never ever mixing opioids with other depressants within the same, few hours or even the same day. But even mixing with cocaine, interestingly, seems to increase the risk of overdoses. And number three is if you're using something and you're not quite sure what it is or how strong it'll be, use a small amount first as a test to see how your body will react. The good news is that there are great treatments available for opioid overdose. The main one is something called Naloxone, which is sold under the brand name Narcan, which totally reverses the effect of an overdose and can last for about half an hour. So treatment is very simple. You need to recognize that someone is having an overdose and do something about it. So try and wake them up, get their attention, rub them on the sternum. If they don't respond, you give them the Narcan, the Naloxone, and if necessary, do CPR and call for help. The good news is that a new law was passed in Canada this year, the Good Samaritan Law, that means that the police will not charge the person who overdosed or the person helping them with simple possession or breaches of probation for calling for help in that situation. I hope this was a great review of overdoses and how to protect yourself and those you love. If you think it would be a good idea to be prepared to help someone, Naloxone training is available through public health units and nursing stations. The training is usually free, as is the kit that can come either as a nasal spray or an injection. And for those of you who live in Sandy Lake, training will begin this week for the intranasal spray version of Naloxone, so call the nursing station to sign up. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Bye!